We got History of Red Hood. I've been wanting to learn about this character for the longest. I literally know nothing about him. The only thing I know that he used to be a Robin, but I don't know none of his origin, like where did he come from. We're about to see. We're about to check it out. Let's see. From our boy Varied Comics.
What's up, my comic comrades, and happy Thanksgiving.
Right,
as
talk
always,
to me.
we are extremely thankful for each and every one of you. You guys are
Push
the
the
reason we
volume
get to
up.
do what we do, and we could not be more grateful. Speaking of thanks, we also want to start by thanking the sponsor of today's Bat Goodness, Verve. Verve is one of our favorite streaming platforms for a reason, and they've got some cool new content to talk. The answer is simple. In the early 80s, Dick Grayson wasn't appearing much in the Batman comics anymore. Finally, first appeared as Red Hood in Batman issue. Jason Todd first appeared in Batman issue 357 in March of 1983. Then he first appeared as Robin in Batman issue 366 in December of the same year. And finally first appeared as Red Hood in Batman issue 635 in February of 2005. He was created by Jerry Conway.
And like his design looks so cool, bro. Like, bro, I can't wait to learn about this character.
As many diehard DC fans know, Dick Grayson was the first Robin. But if there was already a Robin, why did they need to create a second one? Well, the answer is simple. In the early 80s, Dick Grayson wasn't appearing much in the Batman comics anymore, as he was now the leader and a starring character in the Teen Titans series. So since Dick Grayson was off doing his own thing, and DC now thought that
Oh yeah, wait, how many Robins are there too? So is this one and the other one? I think that I see like two more. It was like two more Robins, I think.
Character in the Teen Titans series. So since Dick Grayson was off doing his own thing, and DC now thought that Batman worked best with a partner to play off of and interact with, they needed to fill the spot with someone else. And that's where Jason Todd came in. So let's see how it all went down.
Jason Todd.
Comic book origin. Jason Todd and his origin was pretty much an exact copy of Dick Grayson. The main difference being he had a lighter hair color. It's actually kind of crazy. Like, check out how similar his origin used to be. He was the son of trapeze artists and circus performers Joseph and Trina Todd. I'm only one sentence in, and you could already see what I'm talking about. Anyway, the way Todd's parents died was different from how Grayson's died. They were killed by Killer Croc, who fed them to crocodiles. Anyway, when Jason Todd is brought to Wayne Manor for safekeeping, while Dick and Batman investigate the whereabouts of his parents, Jason got hungry and started looking for the kitchen, but accidentally stumbles into the Batcave. He then finds a trunk with a bunch of old—
Wait. He got hungry and he just stumbled onto the Batcave. Did I listen correctly? Wait, hold on. Let me go back. What the fuck?
While Dick and Batman investigate the whereabouts of his parents, Jason got hungry and started looking for the kitchen, but accidentally stumbles into the Batcave. He then—
What type of plot is that? What?
Finds a trunk with a bunch of old Robin costumes and decides to put one on. And since he was dressed for the part, he decided to go help Batman, Robin, and Batgirl with his parents' investigation. And this is where Jason finds out Killer Croc killed his parents. Of course, after this, Batman takes Jason in as his new ward and eventually started training him to be the new Robin, as Dick and Bruce had a falling out. Now that was his original origin before the Crisis on Infinite Earth story.
Yeah, I didn't like that one. What the hell was that? That was just so like fast paced. Like Batman, he's already said, all right, yeah, I'm gonna take you. You clean. You found that Robin costume. Let's get to it. Like what?
Because for those of you who don't know, Crisis on Infinite Earths changed a bunch of characters' origins and backstories. So after Crisis on Infinite Earths is where we got the modern origin for Jason Todd, which goes as follows. In Batman issue 408, we see Batman returning to his parked Batmobile after patrolling, only to find 2 tires have been stolen from his Batmobile, which actually makes him laugh. Yeah, the Killing Joke isn't the only time Batman laughed. He laughed while saying, I have to hand it to him, it takes stones to rip off the Batman's buggy. As he's checking out his car, the criminal returns to the scene to get the other 2 tires, who just so happens to be a young Jason Todd. Batman says, you're gonna give me back my tires, but Jason Todd hits him with a tire iron and runs off. Yeah, Jason even as a young kid had some big cojones.
Little troublemaker.
Anyway, Batman follows him back to a crappy apartment where Jason lives and finds Jason smoking. If you haven't put 2 and 2 together by now, Jason was now made into a young brat of a kid who stole, smoked, and was definitely not a Boy Scout, which I personally love. It makes him a lot more interesting as a character. In any case, Batman finds out that he lives there alone and that his dad Willis Todd is a criminal who Jason thinks is probably in jail again. But we later find out he was killed by Two-Face. As for his mom Catherine—
Oh, he got killed by Two-Face. Damn. Okay, I'm liking this already.
She died from a disease. So by the end of Batman 409, by Two-Face. As for his mom Catherine, she died from a disease. So by the end of Batman 409, after saving Jason from the corrupt Ma Gun's school for boys, Batman's like, you can ride with me. Once in the Batmobile, Jason says, You know, if you turn me over to the social workers, the chances of a kid my age finding a decent home are slim. Batman replies, don't bet on it, Robin. And just like that, Batman started training Jason to be the new Robin.
Oh, so it's like off rip too, like, yeah, this is my disciple.
Because remember, Dick was off doing his own thing with the Teen Titans at this point in time. One thing to remember though is that Jason wasn't a skilled acrobat like Dick, which helped Dick immensely in developing his crime-fighting skills. Jason was just
Dick really the GOAT, huh? Dick is really the GOAT. I ain't gonna lie. Wait, comment down below, which one's y'all favorite Robin?
An angsty, angry kid filled with rage because of the crap childhood he had. So Jason was trained for 6 grueling months by Bruce. He was trained in martial arts.
Damn, but why they have Bruce like that? Damn, Bruce oh my God, he looked terrified. Jason really liked that, huh?
He had. So Jason was trained for 6 grueling months by Bruce. He was trained in martial arts, weapons, computers, science, everything.
Nice work, son.
At the end of which, Batman presented him with his very own Robin costume. And that's how Jason started his crime-fighting career. But now let's get into story arcs and see how the Red Hood came about.
Okay, let's see.
After Jason became the new Robin, he would fight alongside Batman for roughly a year. At first, Dick, now Nightwing, didn't appreciate Bruce getting Jason to take over his Robin persona, but he eventually came to accept Jason as the new Robin. After this, we got the ever so famous...
So Dick was a little jealous. I would too. I said, damn, all the moments I had with Bruce and you pick another one to replace me? Damn.
Robin persona, but he eventually came to accept Jason as the new Robin. After this, we got the ever so famous story, Batman: A Death in the Family, which many Batman fans know is where the Joker killed Jason Todd. But of course, I'm going to tell you how we got there. At the beginning of the Death in the Family story, we see Jason has become way more reckless and arrogant with his actions during crime fighting, even disobeying direct orders from the Batman. When Batman reams him saying, "You nearly got yourself killed. What do you think we're doing here, playing some sort of game?" To which Jason says, "Of course, all life's a game," as he storms off. Because of this, Bruce started talking to Alfred, saying he may have started Jason off as Robin before he had a chance to come to grips with the death of his parents. First his mom, who's been dead for years, and then his dad, who's presumed to be killed by Two-Face. Anyway, Bruce continues to tell Alfred he's thinking of making Jason take some time off from being Robin. Jason overhears this conversation, and of course becomes extremely pissed with Bruce and storms out of Wayne Manor. He ends up going back to his old neighborhood and comes across an old friend of his mother's. She tells him to come up to her apartment as she has a box of his mom's stuff that she's kept for him. In said box, he found his birth certificate and saw that his mom's name started with an S, meaning his real mother wasn't Catherine. But luckily, he also found his father's address book in the box as well, and it just so happened to have 3 women's names in it that started with the letter S. Well, thinking Batman wasn't going to help him find out who his biological mother was, he typed these 3 names into the back computer: Charmin Rosen, Shiva Wusan, aka Lady Shiva, and Dr. Sheila Haywood. And after finding out where they were located, he stole several of Bruce's credit cards and goes abroad looking for his real mother. Now at this point in time, Joker is in the Middle East looking to hijack some warheads.
What? Joker in the Middle East? Yo, Joker just really be on side quests. Like, what?
Meanwhile, Batman is currently looking for both Jason and the Joker, and eventually finds Jason and then starts helping him find out who his real mother is. Jason finally finds out who his real mother is, which is Dr. Sheila Haywood. But before he could arrive to meet his mother, the Joker gets to her first. You see, she's in charge of the distribution of all medical supplies in her region. But the Joker knows her from Gotham in her early years and knows she previously performed illegal operations on teenage girls.
What?
One of which resulted in a death. Obviously, if her superiors found out about this, she would be fired on the spot. So he blackmailed her into giving him 6 truckloads of medical supplies that he would be able to sell on the black market. After this, Jason goes to meet his real mom and the two get acquainted. It's actually kind of sweet, but he soon finds out she's being blackmailed by the Joker. So he goes and tells Batman, and Batman devises a plan and tells Jason to stay put and wait till he gets back. To not attack the Joker alone, he's too dangerous for him to handle. But of course, Jason doesn't listen and reveals to his mother that he's Robin and he can help her. But after he offers the help, she leads him.
I ain't gonna lie, like, it's not the same, man. I wouldn't even did that. I ain't gonna lie, like showing you Robin. If you're Batman, Dark Knight, like yeah, but Robin got somewhere, but nah.
Not attack the Joker alone, he's too dangerous for him to handle. But of course, Jason doesn't listen and reveals to his mother that he's Robin and he can help her. But after he offers the help, she leads him to a warehouse where the Joker is there waiting for him. She then reveals to Jason that him catching the Joker and turning him in will also cause an investigation that will unveil all the money she's been embezzling. So pointing a gun at her son, she asks the Joker, what should we do with him? The Joker says, something I've wanted to do for years. So the Joker starts to beat the ever-living crap out of Jason with a crowbar. Joker then ties his mom up and leaves the two of them locked up in a warehouse with a bomb. Shortly after the Joker leaves, the bomb goes off, and Batman eventually comes back to see that his partner is dead. After this, Batman's heart is broken, and he blamed himself. So he would display Jason Todd's Robin costume in a glass case in the Batcave as a memorial piece, which of course became one of the many iconic pieces and mainstays of the Batcave, along with the giant penny and the T-Rex. But as I say, no one really stays dead in comics. So years later, when Superboy Prime was punching his way into the main reality, the reality warping effects of his punches brought Jason back to life.
Wait, what? Superman? Wait, what? How did
stays dead in comics? So years later, when Superboy Prime was punching his way into the main reality, the reality warping effects of his punches brought Jason back to life.
Now I need to learn more about Superboy Prime. What the hell? Like, punching nah, that's crazy.
He literally dug himself out of his own grave. We would later learn in the Red Hood Last Days story that Talia al Ghul learned about Jason's resurrection and had him abducted and brought to her. She did this because she thought Batman's former protege would be worth something to them, even though her father Ra's al Ghul didn't agree. Now, even though Jason was resurrected, he suffered from brain damage and other injuries. So Talia put him in the Lazarus pit to heal him. After this, Jason learned that after his murder, Batman did the same thing he always did to the Joker: send him back to jail. This, of course, was way too much for Jason to handle, especially it being only a few days after he was put in the Lazarus pit, which has dramatic effects on a person's mind. Jason was in shock and couldn't believe Batman didn't kill the Joker after what he did to him. Jason was like, am I just an expendable soldier that clearly meant nothing to Batman? This line of thinking led to him wanting revenge on both the Joker and Batman.
Ah, shit, I feel him though. I feel him. Like, Batman, you didn't slide for me, bro? You didn't slide for me? This man beat me to death with a crowbar, and you still ain't slide for me. You just sent his ass back behind bars. It's like, come on now. I feel him. Damn.
So when Talia told Jason about an upcoming attack on Batman in Gotham planned by a man calling himself Hush, he meets with Hush and is like, hey, I want in. I want to mess with Batman's head. Hush lets him in on it, and during the end of Batman Hush, when the story comes to a climax, Jason Todd reveals himself to Batman. It messes with Batman's head at first, as clues did lead the Dark Knight to believe it was the real Jason. But at some point during the fight, Clayface switched with the real Jason and started impersonating him. After this, Talia left a gift for Jason, which included a blade and his now iconic red helmet. That's right, if you didn't know already, Talia al Ghul is the one responsible for Jason's awesome red helmet. But this, my friends, brings us to the amazing Under the Red Hood story. But first, how about some Verve? Yes, today's episode is once again sponsored by our good friends over at Verve. Is spelled no content warriors, power, and up.
Let's be on
variant description, Android/lat. As always, in the awesome animated movie. Okay, I'm sure many of you have seen the awesome animated movie Batman Under the Red Hood, which was adapted from the comics. If you haven't,
I need to watch that. Damn, I need to watch that.
You need to do that, like, immediately. Well, maybe wait until after the episode. In the story, Jason Todd takes up the identity of Red Hood, basing it off of the Joker's former identity. And let me just say, the fact that he stole the former identity of the man who killed him is brilliant. But back in Gotham, the Red Hood is there not to fight crime, but to be a dark influence, and most of all, avenge his own death. In fact, because he's a boss, he almost immediately took over the entire drug trade by decapitating all the lieutenants of the top street dealers in Gotham. That's just savage. He then told the dealers that he would be taking 40% of all profits from then on, and set a new rule that they weren't allowed to sell to any kids. And if they did, he would kill them. Simple as that. He also made moves to get the attention of the Black Mask. Later in the story, Amazo also shows up at one point and fights Batman and Nightwing. It's pretty awesome. Long story short, Red Hood inevitably comes into conflict with Batman, where he reveals to Batman that he is indeed Jason Todd, and he's back from the dead. The story eventually ends with Jason taking the Joker hostage and telling Batman, you've ignored what he's done in the past, blindly, stupidly disregarding the entire graveyards he's filled. the thousands who have suffered, the friends he's crippled.
Oh
I thought
goodness.
killing me, that I'd be the last person you'd ever let him hurt. If it had been you he beat to a bloody mass, if it had been you he left in agony, if he had taken you from this world, I would have done nothing but search the planet for this pathetic pile of evil and sent them off to hell. Batman replies with, you never understood. I want him dead maybe more than I ever wanted anything. But if I do that, if I allow myself to go down into that place, I'll never come back. Which also...
Yeah, it's against Batman morals, yeah. I understand that as well. Damn, it's like I can understand both sides.
So gives us the answer to why Batman doesn't kill. After this, Jason threatens to kill the Joker if Batman wouldn't, and starts counting down, so Batman chucks a batarang at Jason's neck to stop him. Batman just...
Well, oh my god! Look at the Joker! I'm free! I'm like, yo. Oh my goodness. This man Joker. Man, Batman Joker, they best friends for real. They like favorite ops.
Can't get himself to use a gun or kill. And then the Joker says to Batman, one of my favorite lines in all of comic books, oh God, I love it. You managed to find a way to win and everybody still loses. It's just the biggest insult to injury line ever. And then the Joker proceeds to blow up the building. Of course, everyone lives, but it's still crazy. After this, Jason would continue as the anti-hero.
Oh my God, that design looked fire. Bro, Red Hood looked so tough.
Red Hood. And during the battle for the Cowl storyline, when Bruce was thought to be dead, it causes everyone to battle for the Cowl, to take up the mantle of the Batman. Jason took it upon himself to put on an awesome Batman costume, wield 2 guns.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Nah, we need to see more about this. What?
And be a badass Batman that uses lethal force. Of course, it didn't last long, and Dick Grayson ultimately won the Cowl and became the new Batman, and made Damian Wayne the new Robin. As for Jason, he eventually won the Cowl and became a man that uses lethal force. Of course, it didn't last long, and Dick Grayson ultimately won the Cowl and became the new Batman, and made Damian Wayne the new Robin.
Damian Wayne, okay, yo, this look fire. Dang, we need to watch that.
As for Jason, he eventually accepted that Dick was the new Batman. So he was like, you know what? I'm gonna be Dick's direct competition, and made a new, more dramatic costume for his Red Hood identity. He even got a sidekick, Scarlet, who is the daughter/victim of Professor Pig. But this all went away, however, when the New 52 happened in 2011. The New 52 would pick and choose what they wanted to keep from many characters past, Jason Todd included. They even gave us a new retelling of Jason's origin, which was very similar to his post-Crisis one. But the most prevalent thing the New 52 did for the Red Hood was create the Red Hood and the Outlaws, or simply, the Outlaws. They're a team of vigilantes led by the Red Hood. The team originally consisted of Red Hood, Arsenal, and Starfire.
What? Starfire with Red Hood?
By the Red Hood. The team originally consisted of Red Hood, Arsenal, and Starfire. More recently, however, in DC Rebirth, the team reformed and consisted of Red Hood, Artemis, and Bizarro. The DC Rebirth Outlaws were actually referred to as DC's Dark Trinity, as each outlaw member is related to the main DC Trinity of Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. Personally, I think that's really cool. As for Red Hood and DC Rebirth, if you want to know more about that, check out our all-new Red Hood episode to see what's currently going on with him. I would talk about it here, but I would literally just be repeating everything I already said in that episode. But if you want a super quick version, he got into a fight where Bruce was kicked out of Gotham, got an all-new look, and is more violent than ever. With that said, let's talk about his powers and abilities.
Yeah, let's get to it.
As one would assume, being trained by Batman makes you an incredibly dangerous individual in every aspect. Jason is extremely well versed in science, medicine, math, criminology, English, and world history. He was also trained by Talia al Ghul, who paid for tutoring in explosives, strategy, weapons, poisons, vehicles, stealth, antitoxins, and surveillance. And being a former Robin, Red Hood possesses all the skills someone trained by the Dark Knight would have. With that said, he lacked the experience and natural skills that Dick Grayson and Tim Drake had. Red Hood is easily one of DC's top martial artists, and a master of Aikido, Capoeira, Karate, Ninjutsu, Krav Maga, kickboxing, Taekwondo, and many more, as he knows well over a dozen forms of martial arts. His own personal fighting style focuses on brutality, speed, and strength. Because of his skill set and brutality, Jason could easily be considered one of the deadliest characters in the DC universe. With that said, his rage is also his weakness, as Batman has even told him. It blinds him in battle, so much so it leaves him open to physical and even mental attacks. Being a member of the Bat family, Red Hood has an array of gadgets, the list of which is almost endless.
Nah, that's a tough ass picture right here. Oh my goodness. Yeah, so there's like 4 Robins right here.
Being a member of the Bat family, Red Hood has an array of gadgets, the list of which is almost endless. You name it, he probably has it. Most notably, however, are his 2 sidearms, a pair of customized Jericho 941s. They have extra serration.
I ain't gonna lie, it's something about characters with like the dual pistols and stuff. That shit's hard. I love when characters got like 2 of the same weapons. Like 2 swords, you feel me?
And mini red dot sights. Because again, anti-hero. He isn't scared of killing people if need be. His costume consists of body armor, and being that he wears a red helmet, his head is more protected than most. With that said though, I'm sure you guys want some Red Hood reading recommendations, so let's get into it.
Okay.
Read Batman issue 635, Red Hood and the Outlaws Dark Trinity, Red Hood and the Outlaws Redemption, Red Hood The Lost Days, Batman Under the Red Hood, and though it's not a comic, watch the animated movie, Batman Under the Red Hood.
We will watch that. I wonder if I can upload it on YouTube, my reaction.
First up for Wednesday, November 21st, we have Aquaman issue 42, a Drowned Earth tie-in story. As Aquaman and Wonder Woman race home from the graveyard of the gods to turn the tide against the Ocean Lords, Arthur learns a stunning secret about his past. Here we have Web of Venom Carnage Born issue 1.
Carnage
Join
was so
Johnny
tough
Cage
for me.
as he continues to snake his tendrils through the Venom mythos, this time visiting the sickening psychopath called Carnage. Now we have Spider-Man Enter Spider-Verse issue 1. With his ability to transform Spider-Geddon issue 4. This series has been really fun thus far. If you're a Spider-Man fan, I highly recommend you pick up this title. And finally, we have Justice League issue 12. This is Drowned Earth Part 3. It's Batman in a full body cast versus the Legion of Doom. Meanwhile, Aquaman locks tridents with Poseidon, and Mera discovers an ancient secret that could change the fate of Atlantis and the entire Earth forever. That brings another episode of...
Alright, that's fire, bro. We learned a lot about Red Hood. Let me know what superhero, villain, whatever to react to. And until next time.
What's that sound?
It's